Hey everybody, Red Mage here. Welcome back to the series where I go through different RPG products that I have and give them a quick flip through and review. In this video, I'm going to be going through 6 very short adventures from the Appendix N Jam, which just finished up a few weeks ago. And I've had a really good time going through a lot of the adventures in there. And I picked out 6 that I thought were really, really good. Now, these are not maybe the top tier. I think there's a couple that are maybe better. But I just really liked all of these, and I thought there was something about each of them that stood out, and so I want to briefly go through all of them. These are all either free, pay what you want, or there's a couple, like there are community copies available for download, where if someone buys one, then 2 community copies are made available. So you can go check these out over on itch.io, and I'll put a link to where you can get to the whole jam and search the individual ones out from there. I'm going to be looking at Ghostwalkers of Gjoll. Gjoll, I don't know how to say that word, but it's by Maxim Low. I've reviewed Maxim's work before. One was The Bog. It was one adventure I reviewed a long time ago. It was for another game jam, I think, which was the town, a forest, and a dungeon, I think. It was a really cool froggy bog, basically, and I talked about it. It was a really cool adventure. And this is another really cool adventure, too. So I'm going to be starting with this one, and again, it's only 2 pages. Well, it's really a pamphlet, so it's many pages, but it just has 2 pages in PDF form. So you have the first page here, which is the Ghostwalkers of Gjoll. That's actually the cover, and then you're looking at sort of the back 2 pages, which is a summary, and then the final 2 rooms or 3 rooms in the. It's not really a dungeon; it's more of a crawl, a point crawl. But it's a really straightforward one. It's really just a few locations from the starting town to the location. The idea here is that, you know, there's a legendary battle that happened in this region. A dragon and a bunch of warriors all died, and no one could find them. They're gone. And then recently, swords have been floating down the river, and Draugr have been showing up. And so the idea is, you know, well, we got to figure out what's going on here. And so they're going, these ancient warriors who are undead. And so then you go upriver and you find out what's going on. So you can get to the maps here, and I really, really like the way the maps are laid out. It's very straightforward. So you have a little point crawl, right, where you're climbing up from Fosthorpe, which is the starting town. You go up the switchback past the waterfall, the Gjollfjord. It's going to be, yeah, my best, I guess. And then you see there's a real point crawl right there. So you're crossing the glacier. Point 1, you have to go to location 1, which is the Sword Cavern, or within the glacier, I should say. And then you can choose either the Ghost Room, or if you jump back, the Stuck Berserker. And then you're going to go through the final one, which is the Dragon Tunnel, and then the Horde Cave. And beyond that, there's a volcano. And so things are like melting, right? So there's a white dragon in here. Things are melting. It's a really, really cool adventure. I like this quite a bit. A very simple little random encounter table here. Falling Sword, Falling Draugr, Will-O-Wisp, or Harpy. You just have the visualization on each of them. That's really cool for the different approaches. So the cliffs, you have this. Above the fjord, you have this. And then under Drekkajökull, Dragon Mountain, something like that. I don't know what that stands for. But that's, yeah, super cool. Super cool. And it's just a very short little region. You could play this as a one-shot, maybe a couple adventures. You could put Fosthorpe in a frozen part of your world along with this mountain. And it could be a little self-contained adventure or a rumor. People in the town have started finding these swords that are floating downriver. Maybe the players are looking for an ancient sword and you put it in the Horde. A warrior died fighting the dragon, and of course now that they're waking up and the undead, you know, the Draugr are coming out, well then maybe that's a reason why they're going to look for it. But otherwise, it's very straightforward. But I think this is a really cool adventure. And again, it's just something you want to put into a world, especially something that's more frozen, more icy. You could change it almost really to any setting. It wouldn't be too hard, but the idea of the ice dragon, the idea, you could switch it to, like, you know, a green dragon. It could be like a swamp, and it's like floating up. You could do different things, but the basic idea here is really cool, with this dragon that's sort of being thawed slowly. I like that a lot. So anyway, I'd recommend you guys check this one out. I think this one deserves some extra attention. The next one is The Sleeping King. I just loved the map and the animation, the art style for this one. It's very, very delightful. And it's set in a dream world. Basically, there's a dream eater that's gotten into this king's dreams, and it's making these nightmares. It's ruining these the barrier set up between the world of dreaming and the real world. And basically, there's this kingdom that was overrun by nightmares. And so this king went into his own dream and put up a barrier to protect the world from them. But now things are starting to break, and so you have to go into his dream to help him reestablish his control over the dream world. Otherwise the nightmares will start spreading. And so that's really cool. You have a little weird dream location here, and you could expand this a lot more. This is more of like an idea in introduction, because you just start at the kind of overgrown gate to the dream, the entrance. But you could make this a whole dream world, and this is sort of like the garden at the end of that process, right? So you could make this a whole campaign, or at least a really long adventure of several sessions, and this is the final location that you get to, sort of like an open air dungeon, but it's in a dream world. And there are funny NPCs. You get Julius and Pat. Julius is a little orange lizard, and Pat is a pelican, and they're the companions, along with Gale. They're the companions of the king who's in this dream, and just random stuff is happening here, some cool locations. But again, I love the idea here. It's in a dream. You could expand this out and make this really, really interesting. At least I think so. And again, the animation, I keep saying that. The art style is really delightful to me. And I just love this. I think you could put this into Dolmenwood. It would work really well with House Gwillifer. You could put this into any game. It's just a dream world, right? So you could put that into almost any game. And maybe it's not really a king. Maybe it's just a town where these weird things are happening, and there's this guy who fell asleep and he can't wake up. And maybe your goal then is to wake him up. And he thinks in his dream world he's a king, right? And so he's made himself this king. But in the real world, he's just a town drunk or a peasant or something like that. But a dream eater has managed to get into his dreams and is eating them, and that's causing some of his dreams to get out into the real world. Who knows, right? You could do whatever you want with this one, but the basic idea is really cool too. So anyway, I think you should check this one out as well. A Sleeping King. The next one is The 5 Fates of Estra Zo. It's a really cool adventure because it's pretty much just a town where crazy stuff is happening, and a castle nearby. And then you have this queen who is cursed, and it's a really cool curse. Basically, her fate has been split into 5 equally true futures, and she's forced to live through them all simultaneously, and they bleed into one another, and they're affecting the world around her as these things are changing around her. That's really cool. And so 5 simultaneous dimensions or futures are kind of like playing out around her. And you have a bunch of factions. There's the town who aren't happy. There's the guards who are being confused. The servants who are trying to put it together. The conniving nobility and the desperate clergy who are trying to fix things. This is a great adventure. And what I really love about it is just the map and the layout here. You got a cool castle with a really good floor plan. Outer Bailey, the Inner Bailey. And then you have all the different locations laid out very well. And then you get the NPCs over here, and they all have very, again, easy stat blocks. They're very easy to run. This is, as you can see, this is for Cairn, or it's Cairn compatible, but all of these are old school, right? They're for different games. Some of them are for Cairn, some of them are for Knave, old school essentials, but they're all very, very easy to adapt to your setting of choice, your game of choice, I should say. And then at the end, you have these curse tables, escalation tracks, so as things escalate, you have that, and then you have encounter tables with whatever's going on with the curse. You have different encounters there. That's really, really cool. So you roll in the dungeon whenever there's a current active fate, because there's 5 different fates, right? And so you're going to be having different ones going on and simultaneously, basically, and they will take effect in different parts of the castle at different times. And so whenever you roll an encounter, you also see what kind of effect is going on. It's a really cool idea, which fate is playing out at the moment, and that's the kind of encounter you're going to have. It's a really cool dungeon, really cool adventure, and it seems fairly self-contained. It doesn't have to be a queen. It could be a local, a lady, a baroness, or a duchess, or something like that, right? Could be a queen, but it could just be somebody of great power and importance. This queen, it could be a king, it could be anybody, but you just make them going through this curse that they're undergoing. And again, as long as there's a castle in a nearby town and they're ruling over that town, you could make this in any setting. You could change it to any game of choice, any world of choice. As long as it's a world with religious people, because you have clergy here, but you could make them any kind of, spiritual shamans or something like that if you wanted to even make it. Again, you could change the setting very, very significantly here. There's a great little poem at the beginning. I like that quite a lot. Awesome. So anyway, this one's another really cool adventure. The 5 Fates of Estra Zo. 3 more. The Agents of the Gilded Palm. I thought this one was awesome. It's a reverse heist adventure. It's system neutral. And now this one's awesome. This one's really, really cool for a number of reasons. First of all, it's the idea is you're trying to you're trying to get something that you've stolen to this guild, which is the Gilded Palm, and then hopefully you might be able to join them. But they're like a charitable thieves organization, and so they only, basically they only take people who are stealing powerful, important objects from bad people. People who have stolen it themselves or something like that, immoral people, undeserving. And then you give it to the Gilded Palm and they store it in the vault, or they give it away to good people or whatever. And so you can't kill anybody, or like there's a point system, right? So the more you do good things, the more you get through without hurting people, then the more you're more likely to be successful in getting into the guild or the Gilded Palm. And the more, vicious and violent you are, the less likely you are. But you generate randomly what the adventure is, right? What's your object you've stolen, what's the mark that you stole it from, and what's the complication? And then each of them change the game. So you could play this many times with different groups, or the same group, and it would be a different sort of adventure. And they're kind of funny, right? The mummified remains of an archfey, sure, scandalous documents, but also bejeweled undergarments, right? That's what you've stolen. Who have you stolen it from? Well, it's the Museum of Colonial Artifacts, or a rival thieves guild, or a quack physician, or the corrupt governor. And what's the complication, right? Well, the object is alive and does not want to be stolen. The object broke, right? A crewmate got caught. You accidentally released something during the job. And then you have the challenges that are going to occur. So as you're moving through the city to get to the location where the Gilded Palm resides, you have to deal with some of these locations, right? And there's some really cool ones. You have D4 plus 1, 2D4 plus 1 of these encounters, and you could make up your own, right? And if you had a big city, you could make this be a really cool like point crawl across the city too. There's no city map given, but you could easily add that in. Then finally, here's the delivery, which is a little dungeon, very short, very straightforward. A couple puzzles, maybe a combat room, maybe not. But again, you're trying not to kill anybody, especially once you get to here, because this is the Gilded Palm, so you're probably not going to want to kill them if you want to succeed. And then that's it. That's the whole adventure. I think this is awesome. The Agents of the Gilded Palm, fantastic adventure. Really cool little one-shot. It borrows the, I planned this, the sort of, I think it's Blades in the Dark mechanic where everyone gets to retroactively present a solution via flashback. It's like, Ocean's 11, basically, where, it actually turns out we were planning for this the whole time, and, it's actually the hireling that I trained, and he's actually the guard who stopped us at the bridge, whatever. You can do that. Each player can do that once. That's a cool idea, especially for like a heist. So, Agents of the Gilded Palm, I think this is another really cool one. Twisting Old Wounds is a fantastic little dungeon. Essentially, there was this dragon, a huge dragon that was turned to stone, and he, over the course of his life, used to eat lots of treasure, and so there's this basically mountain, it's an old dragon, and tunnels, which are his inners, his guts, and you have to go through, and it's a dungeon, and you're trying to get to the treasure in his liver. That's so good, right? So there's different rooms. It's just the mouth, the throat, the lungs, the stomach, the heart, the brain, and the liver. And if, for example, you were to remove the thing that's turned him into stone, well, he would break free. And then you have a living dragon that you're inside, and it would not be very good. So there's a really cool idea there. You've got some funny monsters like stone lice, but really it's just a straightforward little dungeon. Again, you could put this into a West Marches or a Hex Crawl, where there's this slightly mountainous region, and you have a dragon who's imprisoned in the stone himself. It's a really cool, straightforward little dungeon. Again, I like it a lot. Twisting Old Wounds. There's not much more to say about it. It's very short, but it's a cool little location. And then finally, Rogue's Blood at Twilight. I thought this is really, really cool. A spectral palace appears on the horizon. Rumors speak of a secret treasure locked deep within its spire, a jewel hewn from the souls of 1,000 thieves. What I love so much about this dungeon is the map. I mean, it's a cool location, as you'll see. But I love that map. It's so cartoony, but so delightful with the different paths through it, right? So it's a point crawl through the dungeon. As you enter the castle, you hear raucous laughter and merriment. A dim glow of lights and shadows dance beyond the entrance. Hundreds of ghosts flock the night, joining in the revelry of the Twilight gathering. You got the foyer, or the foyer, the ballroom, the lounge, the grand staircase, the dining hall, the library, giant statue, the clock hallway, broken parapet, night-tide orrery, the stone chamber, and the oubliette trove. So a bunch of cool locations, a few funny NPCs. You have some magic items there, the Knave's Bane, the valet slippers, and the Lamia hook. And then at the end you have hooks for why the players might be there, secret bestiary, encounters table, and then Shadow of the Jewel. But that's it. And then there's, of course, time moves differently here. It could be the number rolled equals the number of years that have passed outside. That's crazy, right? So it's a very interesting location. I love this. I love this. I love the look of it. I like the idea of this castle that's sort of kind of dimly real, or it's in a different dimension. This could easily be a Fey Lord's palace. Could be a weird wizard's palace. Again, it's a thief, a shadow thief who did this. It's just a great adventure. Once again, I think this is a fantastic addition to the Appendix N Jam. So really, again, I think you guys should get all of these. They're all really cool. They're all very short. You could put them into your world almost anywhere and add them to your hex crawl, add them to your world. Rogue's Blood at Twilight, super cool. Twisting Old Wounds, super cool. Agents of the Gilded Palm, an awesome heist adventure. This one would be a little bit harder to just throw into a game, but you could run it as a one-shot so easily. And it's like a roguelike, right? You could just play it over and over. And you could expand it in your city of choice, make it a big point crawl, make it like a routine. You could make the Gilded Palm a faction in your world, and this is how to get into it, right? You need to join a thieves guild, like a good thieves guild. Well, this is the way to do it. Add this sort of heist in. You have the 5 Fates of Estra, which is a fantastic location. The Sleeping King, a cool adventure, and again, I think this one would be great if you put it as like the climax of a dream world adventure. Maybe a few sessions of passing through a dream world, like Alice in Wonderland or something like that, and this is where they have to get this really cool garden palace, or garden dream. Love it. And then you have the Ghostwalkers of Gjoll. Gjoll, I don't know how to say it, which is, again, a really cool little point crawl. It's very straightforward, but it's really cool. All of them are great. So I highly recommend you guys check all of these out. Again, they're all either free, pay what you want, or if they cost a couple dollars, there's usually a benefit. Not just you get the adventure, but you also can contribute and let other people download it for free, because most of them have the community offering, right? So if someone buys 1 book, then they put 2 in the community pile, so other people can get it for free. So you'll be contributing to other people downloading it too. All right, cool. Well, again, I'll put a link below to where you guys can get to the Appendix N Jam. I'm probably going to do a few more videos on the Appendix N adventures. I'll do a few more sets, because I thought there were a whole bunch. There's like 200 and some entries. I'm not going to go through all of them in any of these videos, obviously. But I do want to highlight a few more of them, and so I'll probably do that in the coming days or weeks. All right, guys. Well, I hope this has been interesting to everybody, and I'll see you all in another one.